Welcome, everybody. We're so happy that you joined us here today, and we are super excited to share with you on how you can build your leadership pipeline. But before we get into all of that, with me today, I have my colleague Roshni Cornelius. Roshni manages the contact center portfolio, and she will also be the curator for our session. She'll also be sharing her experiences in the contact center leadership and will be supporting me during the activities. We also have a sales support team who will take any questions that you might have after the session. So before we get going, just some housekeeping. Could I ask that your mics be switched off, please, your cameras as well? And then you will also notice that we have a chat box icon that you can click on, and you can please feel free to participate, to make comments on your experiences, and also just affirm, or if you have a question, please use the chat box for that. And also you could raise your hand if you would like to say something and share with the team. All right. Then I'd like to share with you what our key takeaways for this session will be. So I will be sharing Omni's unique development stack concept, and this could be used for your current and your future leaders to assist you in understanding and building your leadership pipeline. We will then participate in an activity that will look at critical skills for leaders in your business. And I will then also share some stats about current and critical skills required for leaders in 2020. A survey that was done in the community of HR practitioners. And I will then also share with you the Omni online learning platform and show you some of the offerings that Omni has for your current and future leaders. Lastly, we will look at the concept of RPL. You might or might not be aware of this development tool, and it is available to your team. So we will be chatting about recognition for prior learning as well. Those are our key points for today. Okay, but before any of those, here's some exciting news. We have a fantastic prize for 2 lucky participants today. So somebody's getting one. We have this great book that has been sponsored, and the book is from CC Achukwu. And just, oh, sorry. So CC Achukwu is an entrepreneur, and he's a Cape Town-based entrepreneur, author, speaker, and facilitator, and the founder of Uppist, a company which brings leadership and management education, coaching, and consulting to African corporate leaders. He's the author of Touching the Nerves of Leadership, which is this great book that you stand a chance to win. And it's been designed to support leaders in becoming more influential and inspiring over those whom they lead. Among others, CC Achukwu believes that one primary responsibility of every human person on earth is to discover and pursue their life purpose. Further, he believes that a leader leads brilliantly to the degree that he or she understands his or her personal architecture. That is, the inherent gifts, proclivities, abilities, and life purpose. So that's our prize for 2 lucky winners. And what you will need to do is, we have a question. The question is, please share with us what inherent values should be found in a true leader. You will need to answer this question, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn as a post. Tag Omni. And please use the hashtag Omni Virtual Open Day 2020. Okay, so that's our competition, and we look forward to hearing what you feel are the inherent values of a true leader. And the author and entrepreneur himself, CC Achukwu, he's actually going to select the winners of this competition today. All right, so let's move on. What we are going to do now is we're going to watch a video, and I'd like you, You will see some faces of real iconic individuals. I'll just leave it there. But what I would like you to think about is just in 2 words or so, describe what you think about that person. All right. So the faces are just going to come up in the chat box. Please use the chat box. And in 2 words, how would you describe this person? Okay. I'm going to play the video now. Sound. Stop sharing. Okay. Is it? Sorry, I'm just going to enable the sound. Okay, we don't really need sound because it's just. No.
Good afternoon, everybody. Apologies, we are trying to get the sound of the video to work. So we do have our tech support right next to us to make sure that we kind of get a fix on that. If we don't get a fix within the next couple of seconds, then Lezelle will proceed to play the video without the sound because it really is about the images that we're going to see on the video. So please bear with us and thank you so much for your patience.
Okay, everybody, will you in the chat box please type in 2 words or so how you would describe, choose about 2 of these leaders. Okay, let's see some of your responses. Okay, thank you for those responses. It would be interesting though if you could also mention which leader you are referring to. Okay, servant leader, not Trump. Okay, I'm sure there'll be a few who would agree to that. dictator. Great, thank you. Thanks for your responses. Okay, so you would have noticed that our last picture was a silhouette, and we asked if that was your image, how would you be described? What is your team saying about you? Are you the courageous leader? Or are you the dictator? Are you the innovator? Please type in the chat box. If the last image had your picture in it, how would your team describe you? Oh no. Thank you for sharing. So we have Tanya says she's collaborative, Pumeza, authentic. Maya Angela, I like that, Pumeza. Who's this? Jay, you foster selfless. Okay, thanks, Pumeza. True to her values and authentic. Okay, so thank you for sharing. So having a look at what you are saying then, these are what we also expect from our leaders, isn't it? So continuing on from there, we would like to just chat now a bit about expectations and what it in this time that we are in, what are some of the critical skills that are required for your leadership? So moving on from there, I'm just going to change my slide. And oh, my video is playing again. Right. So we are going to talk about this leadership pipeline. What exactly does that mean? So in terms of the future world of work, let me just share my screen again. There we go. Thank you. Is that better? Right. So in terms of building your leadership pipeline, I read an interesting article, and the article suggests that we should be very deliberate in creating a system where we can identify individuals for succession and then combine these systems with the steps for their development. And that in effect is building your leadership pipeline. So, but how can this be done? In terms of your leadership in your organization, the leadership must own the development of the individuals. And they can do this through coaching, through mentoring the individuals who've been identified as future leaders. Also, managers need to be really hands-on, and involved in people development. So the concept of work integrated learning goes beyond just the training department's role, so to speak. Managers should be hands-on in leading the way for their staff to be able to actually apply the skills that they have learned at school, at college or university. And this is what actually mean when we say it's applied competence. It happens when the individual is given the resources and the opportunities to actually demonstrate their skill in an environment that also nurtures this culture of learning. So leaders are key in predicting future successes at the early stages of their careers. And this will happen when there is the right culture to develop and flourish in that environment. But how do we do this? So I'd like to share with you the concept that we have here at Omni, and it's called the Omni Development Stack. So it's going to take you through stages of how you can actually develop your current and future leaders. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you and introduce you to the Omni Development Stack. Okay, we're just sharing my screen. Okay, can you all see the Omni development stack? Great. Okay. So this specific development model is looking at management and leadership. All right. So we have 5 stages. You'll see there are 5 stages in the development stack. And so think about the different occupational levels of work as well. Okay, and now align these to the needs across the human capital development levels. All right, so let me take you through this. So the individual will start. Let me just get my drawing tools and hopefully this will work. There we go. So they will start at level 1, and let's say they could be unemployed or they could be employed. Think about an individual who obtained grade 9, for example, and went straight into the workplace and has some work experience, okay? And they start on an entry level in the workplace and possibly, start in an administration role. Okay, so we will now start our development program with this individual, and we could start on an NQF level 2. Okay. And you'll see at Omni, we offer a qualification called the Business Administration Qualification. So this would also be a work readiness program where we introduce the individual to work readiness skills. All right. So apart from that, so the individual at this stage could start and achieve a national certificate, the first qualification in the workplace. And besides that, we could also look at various programs where they could specialize in certain aspects like effective business writing, interpersonal skills, and also stress management. So the individual has now got an NQF level 2 qualification, they're continuing on in the business, and they're showing really great progress. And in continuing on in this person's progress, we identify them as a future leader. And we now start them on a management development program. And so at Omni, we offer an NQ level 3 national certificate in management. And so now you can see this individual is progressing along this development stack now. He's already achieved a national qualification on an NQ level 2, giving him the fundamental understanding of working in work, workplace readiness, and they're now moving on in this managed development program. So the first qualification that they could receive in management would be this one, our NQF Level 3 program. And once again, besides the full qualification, we now start looking at future skills that this person would require continuing on in their role. All right, so moving on from there, we have skills like emotional intelligence, we have collaborative management, people management, and also service orientation, which you will notice we have, these skills are our standalone skills, okay, which we can combine with our qualification as well. Okay, so this individual now is on your management development program, and we now realize that, you know what, we are actually going to promote this person to a team leader. And we need to equip them, we need to develop them further, and so we're going to take them on another journey in achieving a further qualification on NQF level 4. Remember, this person started out not possibly, but if they have grade 9, they would have started out on an NQF level 2 with their first qualification, and we have now moved them on further in achieving an NQF level 4 qualification, which is our generic management qualification. All right, so In the genetic management qualification, again here, this individual can specialize. So let's think of somebody in the contact center space. So they will have their technical skills in terms of the contact center environment, but now matching that, they can then achieve a management qualification to combine those technical skills and have some leadership skills that they have then learned as well. So in terms of the NQF level 4 skills, we once again look at future skills development, and we have skills like complex problem solving. And I'll chat a bit about this in my next session where I look at the Workforce 2030 programs. And these are skills like complex problem solving, judgment and decision making, cognitive flexibility, and negotiation skills. So we've now progressed this individual in his role as a manager, and with that, we've allowed them to be qualified with a management qualification and also other skills that complement their role as a leader, over and above just the hard technical skills of a manager. You'll see the last stage in this development stack would be a leadership development program for future leaders. And again here, these would also consist of some non-accredited training where we look at probably like just next level emotional intelligence. We have Lumina programs happening, our Workforce 2030 programs again. And so this would then look at a holistically developed individual where we've considered the knowledge, the skills, and the values and attitudes of an individual as a future or even a current leader. So this is our Omni development stack. I just want to go back to the top again, and you'll see how we've progressed this individual from an NQF level 2 qualification, also combining it with specialist programs as well. They've then been identified as a future leader and started their management development program by going on an NQF level 3 certificate. We've again incorporated future skills for this individual. And then once they've been promoted to a team leader, they now have another opportunity for an NQF level 4 qualification in genetic management, coupling that once again with some 2030 Workforce 2030 skills to ensure that we have a holistic development program for this individual. Okay, are there any comments or questions about this? This is our Omni development stack model, and you'll see it's integrated with full qualifications, with skills programs and soft skills as well. And again, it's all about creating an agile learner with the skills that we've identified. All right, and we've also looking at the accredited and unaccredited learning that we as Omni can also offer to individuals in terms of their development. And that is our development stack. So moving on from there, if there are no questions, I'd like to show you how we actually implement this in terms of the actual training. And so I'd like to take you to Omni Stack, which is our online learning platform. Can you all see our Omni Stack platform? Great, you can see it. Perfect. So you will notice that we have various methodologies in terms of the learning that we offer. As I just mentioned, we have accredited and non-accredited learning. We have blended learning where we incorporate face-to-face and online learning. And so this is what you will see when you come and you log into our OmniStack site. So what I'd like to look at is our 2030 workforce skills. I'll just click on there. And I'd like to share with you how all of this came about. So we believe at Omni that we are a forward-thinking skills development provider. And so we needed to understand the potential impact of the fourth industrial revolution than what we would have on skills development and our human capital. And so we considered research that was already done by the World Economic Forum, and we linked this to the 2030 workforce and future world of work. So at Omni, we actually carried out our own research. And we are very proud to share that we actually presented our research at the 14th European Conference for Management, Leadership and Governance in the Netherlands in October 2018. And this was subsequently published in the Journal of Leadership, Accountability and Ethics. So we are really proud of that feather in our hat there. And the results of all of this research that was done is the Workforce 2030 programs, and which also holds a combination of our learning methodologies. And what are those learning methodologies? So we have, I'll just show you some of the programs where we just introduced you what the 2030 skills is all about. There's an introduction where we just talk about, this whole concept of disruption that has taken place and the urgency for us to reframe and change the way we're doing things. All right. Then we have our emotional intelligence, which has also been highlighted as a critical skill in this day and age. Creativity is also part of the Workforce 2030 offering. There's cognitive flexibility. And just moving through the different programs, collaborative management, change management. We look at negotiation skills. Some of my colleagues have already mentioned some of these programs. Also at people management, judgment and decision making, and complex problem solving. We look at service orientation and critical computational thinking. So these are the offerings in our Workforce 2030 programs, and the different methodologies that we use. For example, we call it bit learning, and we do understand that people learn differently. And so they require short and sharp interventions that would transfer the knowledge and skills. We also then have our soft skills, which is now being referred to as hard skills, because they have now become critical skills for the workforce to have. And so we understand within the Workforce 2030 skills that these skills are important. They are skills of the future, which is also required, in terms of looking at the human aspect, apart from the automation, artificial intelligence, and all the robotics that is happening around us. We still need to maintain that heightened sense of humanity within the skills that we offer. So these skills have been identified in order to ensure that our workforce is agile and also adaptive to the changes that are happening and still to come. And I just also want to show you what our platform looks like. So this was our 2030 skills, and I'd like to quickly just go to our program, the management program, and show you how the platform looks like. So we have our National Certificate in Management. So this is what you'll see in the introduction to management. You will notice these are our modules, and I'll just quickly go to what is a business. And you'll see we have videos where you will watch and listen to some concepts that will be shared about business, some of the information that you can expect to see there. And then we also have activities that our learners can access and obviously complete the activity to just check the understanding of what was covered previously. Yeah, so this is our online learning platform. There's lots there. Please feel free to engage with our sales staff later to see what other offerings we have. But we do offer the NQF2 Business Administration Program, NQF3 Management Program, and the NQF4 Generic Management Program. And that is our Omni Stack online learning platform. Are there any questions? So what we are going to do now is I'd like you to consider some of the skills that and development programs that I mentioned just now. And I'd like to come back to you and your team And so please join me in this next activity. So in this activity, we're going to chat next about critical skills for 2020. And I'd like you to think about the 4 management functions. They are very critical in day-to-day activities of any leader. And whilst it's important to know that these 4 functions must be integrated in order to be effective, for the sake of this activity, I'd like you to think about the main management functions that you have observed in your workspace recently, and where there might be a lack of skill and application. So I'm going to just call up the Google Forms doc. I'll put the link in the chat box just now, and I'd like you to please complete the survey and tell us what you perceive to be some critical skills in your space. Ooh, no. Okay, I've just put the link in the chat, so if you can access the link, and then we'll go to our Google Forms and see what you perceive to be some critical skills required in your space. All right. Okay, I see we have some responses coming through. Great, thank you. I see we still have some responses coming through. Thank you so much for participating. Let's just give it another few seconds. Okay. Still some responses coming through. While we're waiting for the responses, just noting that we have a third of our participants are managers. Then we also have a tie between team leaders and senior managers, and also executives and L&D advisory specialists. All right. Okay, in terms of our industry, ETD taking the lead there in our representations of industries, and quite a nice spread amongst the other different industries. Okay, I think we probably have most of our responses. Thank you for sharing that. I have attended a leadership program in the last year. That's great. And then some the last 5 years. And also the last 2 years. Great. Thank you. How long have you been in your current role? Okay, more than 10. Leading the way these 2 to 4 years. Okay. You must have been experiencing lots of changes in the last 2 to 4 years. Okay. All right, it seems like those are all our responses. Let's see, which critical skill do you need to develop? So, wow, leading the way there is leadership. Leading and influencing to inspire your team to action. All right, and then we have planning, setting objectives, right, making decisions, and then we have equal results for organizing and controlling. And obviously what stands out there is the leadership aspect. And that is really true in our current environment that we are working in. So I think it's safe to say that we are living in an age of uncertainty on just so many levels. And I'm sure we must have heard during this last few months the following phrase: who would have thought that 2020 would turn out this way? Would you agree with me? We've heard this line being said, and not only are we faced with disruptions in the technological sphere and also at the speed of light, our environment is also changing. I mean, just this weekend, if you were in Cape Town, we experienced what they said was the outflow of an earthquake, apparently, which was thousands of kilometers in the ocean. And it's something that here in Cape Town, we certainly have not experienced in the last few decades. So yeah, so there's just so many disruptions, and all of this causes further disruptions in businesses, in organizations. And so there are so many changes, and there's so many different words and phrases going around now. We're talking about the new normal. We're talking about hybrid teams. And what I've also recently heard was quarantines, also disruptive concepts, okay? And so, yeah, so there's a lot that you are dealing with. And with all of these changes and crises, we are looking to you as our leaders. We still somehow have a need for certainty in all of this uncertainty, isn't it? And as leaders, we need to accept the need for change. And in this, we need to consider, as we also heard in our ETD session earlier today, consider reskilling and upskilling our teams. So you can see that from this survey that you are doing, and I'm going to share the results of another survey that was done in terms of critical skills for both current and future leaders, that it's important that we need to develop our future leaders to be as effective as possible to lead their teams during these challenging times. And why is that so? Because we still need to achieve the organization strategies and desired results and our very reason for being as a business, isn't it? So thank you for sharing that. And it's really clear that leadership is key. And we need to develop our current and our future leaders for us to achieve our business strategies. So thank you once again for participating in that survey. I'm going to just share with you the results of a survey that was done by the, as I said earlier on, the community for human resource practitioners. So I'm just going to share my screen again. If you would just give me a minute. Okay, so can you see the screen addressing your critical skills for leadership? As I said, this was a survey done by the community for human resource practitioners, and they came up with addressing your critical skills for leadership, and these were the 9 top skills that have been identified. Very interesting, isn't it? So I'd like you to have a look at these 9 skills. And so it's quite interesting to see. I'll just have a look at the top 3. Sorry, I'm just... Okay. So I'd like you to consider what you think are important skills for you. And looking at the top 3 critical skills for leadership, right on the top again is honesty and integrity. And I don't know about you, but I think even as a country, we're struggling with this when we look at some of our political and even business leaders. And it's really important that our values and leaders must speak to these 2 factors. Would you agree with me? Secondly, also it says you need to be, it's vision and purpose. And I think as a leader, you need to be true to your vision and purpose. Okay, and if you're open to change, your creativity and innovation should allow you and your team to come up with new ideas and concepts to keep your business afloat and to be true to that very vision and purpose with which it was started. The 3rd critical skill, value-based decision making. And here I think value, it must mean value for all stakeholders. This must be key as it will have a ripple effect in the business. It will have a ripple effect on the individuals, and also, I mean, just consider your industry as well. Okay, decisions must be made that will add overall value to the business and will then also affect the sustainability of that business. So tell me, which of these skills stand out most to you? Please put this in the chat box and share with us what you feel are critical in your space. Perhaps choose 2 of these skills for leadership that you consider to be critical in your space and your environment right now. Okay, thank you for some of your comments. Great, absolutely. Stakeholder value, not just shareholder value. Agreed, nice point there. I see we have empathy and communication. That's great. Right, 8 and 5, so that's creativity and communication. Thanks, Darren, for sharing. Resilience and communication, absolutely. Resilience at this stage, and I think ahead as well, is going to be required. Communication is key. People love to know what's happening in this space. They want to know how they are affected, if they are affected. What are you planning for the road ahead? Absolutely. Creativity and resilience, yes. Vision and purpose, great. It carries you through in tough times. Absolutely. If you stay true to what your vision and purpose was. I love that. Thank you for your contributions. Please feel free to put in the chat accountability, not just of self, but holding others accountable as well. Great. Okay, and these are skills that are critical that we need to instill in our current and future leaders as well. And all of this will also happen when we offer these development tools to our teams to ensure that they are actually applying this throughout the organization. Jay, your forces says it's a tough choice and will be different from one leader to another in our company. No, absolutely. I hear what you are saying. However, we will always still consider the company's overall vision and purpose, isn't it? And all of us would need to work towards that. But yes, we are individual as well. So thank you for that comment. Okay, so are there any other comments? So once again, these, as I said, our Omni development stack That's a tool that you can use in building your leadership pipeline. We're looking at critical skills that you would need to identify in your space. And when you've done that, then work out systems to actually implement the training and development and application of these skills, which is another tool that you can use in building your leadership pipeline. All right. So let's see, we do have some other comments there. It's quite difficult in the current circumstances, Lisa says. Needs a sound combination of most. Yep. We also need to evaluate our leadership team mix, and we don't lead organizations as individuals, but as a collective. Nice. Great. So that is great. I like that comment. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So thank you. I see, is it Julianne needs to leave? Thank you for joining us today. Glad that you enjoyed the session. So the last tool that I would like to share with you in how you can build your leadership pipeline is what we call RPL. All right. Okay. Just before I start with RPL, I'd like to apologize to everybody. We are running a bit late due to our late start with a technical glitch that we had with the two meetings. So please bear with us. This is my last section that I will be covering. So it will be great if you could just spare us another 5 minutes or so. And I'll do my best in wrapping up as soon as I can. Okay, so thank you once again for your patience. Okay, so as I said, the last tool that I would like to share with you in how you can build your leadership pipeline is RPL, recognition of prior learning. So what exactly is this RPL? All right, you would have noticed from our virtual open day ad, we said you have tons of experience, but with no formal qualification. So recognition of prior learning is basically recognition of people who've been in the workplace acquiring skills through on-the-job training and who actually have the same skill set as someone with a formal qualification. Now, to quote an excerpt from the latest national policy and criteria for RPL by SACWA, excuse me, RPL is an important mechanism to guide to guide in South Africa. The key intention of the policy and criteria is to facilitate change in the lives of RPL candidates, including workers and learners of all ages, both employed and unemployed, and other marginalized groups. All right? So it's important that individuals are granted access, and this simply means they've been granted the opportunity to pursue education and training, including relevant qualifications and part qualifications, opportunities in the workplace, and also career progression. So again, it's a tool to build your leadership pipeline. It's important that you understand that. So I think from our Google survey that we did, there were some people who haven't attended any kind of development training in the last 5 years or so. And so you have the skill, you are carrying out, you're fulfilling your role, but perhaps you just don't have that qualification. And that's where RPL comes in. So you won't need to attend a 3 to 4 day training session where you will go through all the knowledge and the content. You can simply just be briefed on the requirements of your assignments. You'll be briefed on the content of the learning program. And also there will be your training and assessment plan will have these dates, specific dates for coaching and feedback sessions as well. And I think in Omni space, the coaching and feedback is really one of our unique selling points in that we pride ourselves in the fact that we walk with our learners throughout the qualification. And the coaching sessions, it's not a by the way or extra in our training and assessment methodology. It's actually part of our training and assessment plan for the full duration of that qualification. Even when our learners are found competent, we as practitioners still ensure that we meet with our learners and give them feedback. So coming back to RPL, here at Omni, we offer RPL for all of our qualifications. We do that for business administration, we do that for our management, NQF level 3 and 4 programs, and also for our ETD programs, education, training and development programs. And so it's important that we realize that somebody could be fulfilling this role for quite a number of years, but they don't have the actual qualification for the role that they are in. And this could actually be a disadvantage to them in terms of promotions, in terms of progression in the workplace, which is really not fair. And as I just read from the excerpt in the SACWA policy, that RPL essentially is there, okay, to bridge this gap of people being disadvantaged in terms of progression due to not having a qualification. So yeah, so that is what recognition of prior learning is. And you'll see from the slide that's in front of you, it is practiced for a variety of purposes, especially an individual standing in a professional for trade qualifications, academic achievement, performance management, and career and succession planning. And again, this is one of the tools that you can use, excuse me, in building your leadership pipeline. Are there any questions? I see Tanya made a comment. It is underutilized by many companies. And in my experience from food manufacturing, the limited funding that CETA's offered for RPL was an issue. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Tanya. And I think it will be interesting if you could go to that document on SACWA. Where it actually gives you the policy and the criteria for RPL, and I hope that can assist you possibly in offering these RPL programs in your space. All right, are there any questions or further comments? So just to summarize once again, I think it's important that we understand the necessity for training and development of our leaders. And it's so important that you, in your organization, you have that culture of learning so that you can build your leadership pipeline by identifying future leaders early in their careers, but also put together a plan for their development by considering the Omni development stack model that I've shared with you. The RPL process is another consideration for those individuals who have proven skills to fulfill their roles. However, they do not have a recognized or accredited qualification. Consider your critical skills in your environment, and that's important in this time where our leaders need to be developed excuse me, to manage their current and future roles. All right. So we look forward to you collaborating with us in equipping your current and future leaders for the benefit, once again, as we said, for the individual, your organization, the community, and also our economy as a whole. It's important that we understand the importance of this development. I trust that you enjoyed the session and that you found something valuable to consider for your own personal development. Please remember there is the cinema room where you can see some of our testimonials. Also our sales team you can chat with if you have any further questions on any of our other portfolio offerings that we have. Just one last reminder for you, if I could just change my slide. Please remember our competition. You have the chance to win a really great leadership book, Touching the Nerves of Leadership. All you need to do is go on any one of our social media sites and tell us What inherent value should be found in a true leader? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're waiting to see your responses. All right. And we'll be in touch with you concerning our winners. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you.